The art of masks by the makers of masks concentrates on the creation, production, and presentation of carnival costumes. This section, The Origin, gives an overview of personal historical experiences at Notting Hill in London, UK.
Greetings. My name is Pax Nindi, and I'm original from Zimbabwe. I came in this country in 1985, and then I was told that if I want to see black people, I should go to Notting Hill and Brixton. So I settled for Notting Hill, and I've never left. And Carnival is still with me to this very day, and I'm doing Carnival all over the place. I'm also the Vice President of the World Carnival Commission, and I've run a few carnivals like Hackney Carnival, Accra Carnival, the Peace Carnival in Kenya. So when I heard that CAMF are going to do some educational business, I got very excited, and I would like to support them because I know there's a lot of people who fund Carnival, who sponsor Carnival, but not a lot of them understand what they're sponsoring or funding. There's also some carnivalists I've met before who don't understand Carnival at all. They just think it's a party and that is it. So to have something like this that CAMF is doing, that's need supporting, and I'll support it completely 100% on top of whatever other people are doing. So thank you very much.
The Windrush generation, their children and grandchildren have created an annual event that raises over £93 million for London's economy every August, the Notting Hill Carnival.
We kind of publicly have a mass camp, a visual mass camp throughout the year where people can actually just walk off the streets and see mass, meet an artist, a carnival artist, and learn a little more about carnival. So many people didn't physically think we make the costume, so people know about Notting Hill or know about the event, but no one really took that we actually make the mask.
Let us celebrate the economic benefits we as a cultural group contribute, the fantastic men and women who work tirelessly to keep masquerading alive.
The Notting Hill Parade is the culmination of months of hard work, planning and creativity. In 2002, the London Development Agency produced the first comprehensive report on the Notting Hill Carnival. It showed the economic benefits generated by the BME communities whose voluntary efforts ensure the carnival takes place. Band leaders must work with their teams to raise the funds needed to participate and keep the traditional community spirit of teaching others the skills needed to make mass alive.
London's BME community has been collaborating to produce a Caribbean Carnival parade in Notting Hill for 50 years. The event evolved and survived due to the resilience, determination and commitment of its volunteers.
Women have always played a key role in producing the Notting Hill Parade. Masquerade bands are doing their best to survive.
My name is Angela Duncan Thompson. I'm currently the chair of the Carnival Arts and Masquerade Foundation, also known as CAMP, and I'm also director of Decor UK Limited. To be honest, I don't have any childhood memories of masks because I grew up in Jamaica, and at the time when I grew up there, Carnival was not a thing. There was festival, and I only took part in festival as a teenager when I danced with Vincent Douglas dancers, and we took part in competitions. My first memory of wearing a costume is when I came to London and I was asked to perform a costume with a group of dancers for Notting Hill with the Yasanta Carnival group. I think at the time it was called Yasanta Community Centre or something like that. And that was my first performance. I think that was in 1990. And I have played Carnival every year since. CAMP is important because it supports the carnival bands. Just to give a little background, CAMP is an overarching organization which came out of two other mass associations which over the years represented mass bands in Notting Hill. They're like a union. They look after the interest and they help bands to develop themselves. Right now, CAMP is in a new age where we're looking at things quite differently. And this COVID-19 time has given us time to reflect on what we have done and how we can move forward. One of the things we have done is to create this particular documentary, which is to help us to look at historical workings, look at how we're going to move forward, and how we can encourage people to actually take part in carnivals, but specifically wearing costume, because that's our main concern. In the future, that is our aim, to encourage people from all backgrounds to take part in Carnival, because we have found out that there's some people who, even to this day, we've been here 50 odd years, people still don't know what we do, how we do it, what we need to achieve it, and that it is open. It is actually open for anybody of any color, race, creed, whatever, to take part. So one of the things we want to emphasize is that, yes, we want you to come, because people have skills that they don't know. I mean, we've been doing Carnival for years, and one of the things new people say is that I can't draw, I can't glue, I can't do this, I can't do that, and we just look at them and said, okay, well, cut that. It's just a scissors cutting a piece of paper. And usually with Carnival, repetition is what helps. So if somebody comes into the area where you're working and you give them something to do, you'll find after a while they perfect that, no matter how simple it is. And usually they're eager to go on and do something else. And that's how we begin to create the vibes within the mass camp. The feel good is, you see I'm smiling, is the fact that people are opening up and being very natural about themselves and telling us about their experiences. And that experience is what we're going to use to encourage other people to take part in Carnival, and especially in Masquerade. It means also that we can encourage young people to participate. And one of the aspects we're doing is encouraging young people to take part in the documentary so others can see them and emulate them, and to show how we can transfer our skills, transfer our creative abilities, and also people can dig deep for something that they think that they don't have. You'd be surprised how creative most of us are, and we don't realize it until we're actually doing something like this.
I am Sister Monica Taiwan. Well, I am retired, but if we want to go back years, I was appointed as the chaplain for the West Indian community in London, which was well, we needed pastoral care. I was very conscious that our people needed pastoral care. So in 1977, we had our first Carnival Mass in Westminster Cathedral, because we felt with our people we liked the Mother Church, and for us the Mother Church would be the Cathedral. And we were blessed that year in the sense of we were able to overspill onto the piazza, which is the first time that the piazza has ever been used. I think it was the Queen's, some jubilee of the Queen. That was the first time. So we had a ball. I mean, everybody had a wonderful time. I mean, it was just, and of course, lots of people didn't even know where Westminster Cathedral was. So it was, and of course, then you have a lot of visitors, and I mean, it was really packed. It was very, very exciting. Again, to be clear, we did the first one in what we call the Mother Church. We thought it really belongs to the area. And that's how we started doing it in Notting Hill, or where we felt that the Caribbean community was mostly populated. So the next year in 78, we did it in Harrow Road. But we weren't too sure about it. We thought that the church was too small or whatever, because we do what we call liturgical dancing, and it was really a big do. So the next year, Father Michael Hollins was then appointed parish priest at St. Mary of the Angels. I thought, why not use the church here? And of course that was ideal, because it's a nice, what would you call it? A stage, but it's not a stage, what we call a sanctuary, and for dancing. And we really had some beautiful dancers, you know, over the years. We're talking about trying to do something, and remember, we didn't have the communication then as we have today. So lots of different people were doing different things. You have people like Claudia Jones, who really started Carnival. She started Carnival in the sense of, what can we do to get the people together? Because all the time we're thinking of community. How can we attract people together? So that's how the dances started. Now, Victor Critchler was very much involved with that, and a few others, which is slipping my memory now. But, you know, who supported those dances, and I mean, I can think of Corinne Carter and people. I mean, there were lots people. I don't want to say just mostly Trinidadians, but who knew what it was about. And I think in the same way, even if we move on quickly to, well, the 80s we're talking about, even 70s, 80s, you have Ronnie Laslett. And Ronnie was a community worker. And in those days, a community worker did everything. You know, we weren't as departmentalized as we are today. And obviously, in the same way that she got Russ, because she knew that Russ Henderson was at the pub, to sort of come up and give something to the children, do something for the children, that he did play for them. And of course, children love dressing up. So this is why who started the carnival is not what the issue is, because we've all been doing things in different eras, at different places. Yeah. I think in the late 70s, because remember we were also going through a time of stop the carnival. So you couldn't even get a truck hired. And I remember good old Martha Ferrier, I mean, because you were getting a truck then, and of course we got one for St. Mary's, because that's how we started bringing out the band as well. And in those days, I mean, we're talking about having 70 children and 90 children in the band. And of course, again, back in that period of time, we had the full use of the school, we had the teachers involved, but then the school started being occupied by the police, so we was no longer accessible. But we continued for quite a few years bringing out the band and having the service. The Holy Mass was there on the Saturday evening. Now, Lee Shivers and myself, then we decided one day we're going to divide the area. Because, again, to the community, it's very interesting because Ladbroke Grove was sort of like a dividing line of, you know, gathering people, how far people really move. And we both decided we were going to do north and south, so started that other group. But we were kind of like really one trying to make things happen.
People who've played mass as kids have come back and they introduce their child to it, and then they help with their costume, and then, you know, it is children and parents. It's a wonderful, wonderful day out. It really, really is.
The bit I enjoy most of all, I think, is preparing for the park, the nursery carnival. I think because we've been doing it now for 20 years, over 20 years near enough. And they do lots of arts and crafts projects based around the theme we give them inside the nursery. If you don't inspire them to make something that size and under 5, yeah, how are you going to inspire them to make something when they're 15, when they're 16, yeah? So we decided as an organisation to start with the younger members of our community.
Yeah, there is quite a lot of people. It's like they're not obviously all here at the same time, but when it's the day and then you see how many people there are, it's like you can like see everyone there and all their costumes. It looks really good as well. There's just this feeling, and you feel like really proud of yourself and that you've done well and you've achieved something.
I've been doing carnival since I was about 5 years old. It's nice for the kids as well, you know. It's a fun day out, and Lee, she does a lot of work on the costumes.
What we're doing now is we're painting the dragons and the tiaras and stuff that people wear, and it's going really well.
It's about being part of something, that it's hard to describe. It's not mundane or boring. It's being part of something so much bigger and vibrant and colourful, and you pick a theme, and even though we all moan and complain about doing the work, we all get together, we all do it, we all get to hang out.
The experience is what we go on, yeah? The joy and the freedom of being whoever you want for that day and being on the road and just enjoying yourself, yeah, dressed up. That's what Carnival's really about.
My first costume, I think he was a Red Indian. And then I can remember in the 80s, God, Juliet Alexander met me down and she could, and I was a hibiscus. I think the excitement, no, I mean, I speak as an adult in the 80s when I was in Gary Band, because everybody belongs to some sort of a group, but and we used to help a lot as well too, and built a spirit of for the road. For me, it has been a wonderful experience, which it was wonderful to see everybody have it, every child, some sort of experience. Not just gyrating, you have to learn to dance a costume. That is what masquerading is about, dancing your costume. And the appropriate music for dancing your costume. Whether you're a hibiscus or whether you're a Red Indian, that is mass.
My name is Pepe Francis and I represent Ebony Steel Band Trust. Ebony Steel Band has been going for, this is our 51st year. We've been playing pan all over the world really. We tour, we do a lot of touring, take part in a lot of festivals and competitions, etc. But we also have a costume element to the band as well. So it's really mass and pan. Ebony was one of the first costume bands in Carnival back in the 60s. Russ was involved with Mrs. Laslett in the school. So when Mrs. Laslett decided she was bringing the children out on down Portobello, because Russ used to play outside the school, he was one of the pan men that came down the road with her, and the children following him, and well, it was him and Sterling and a couple of other people. But at that time, yeah, because Carnival was new to Ladbroke Grove and Portobello, yeah, you got a lot of people came out to support the pan with the children behind it. But as that grew over the next few years, and the numbers of people grew, the steel band had to grow as well. And you know, and I think the rest is history, really. You have to thank people like Frank Rollock and Gerald Forsyth for that. They introduced the band in schools many, many years ago when it was the GLA under Ken Livingstone, and that grew around the country, really, because you can go out to Bedford now and still see some pans that Forsyth made, which is nothing like the pans, you know, that we have today, the fourths and fifths and that. So they started pans in schools, and it's been continued from the young people that's playing in pan now today. First 2 years we were on the road. We came out. It was Lawrence Noel who brought us on the road. He built our first racks for us to play on, to come on the street, yeah. Yeah, back in the 70s, I won the King competition 7 times, and I was placed, I think, 4 times, and second 4 times. But I was in the days of people like what's his name? I can't remember the names of the costume designers now. Keith Lacan and people like that who used to build costumes for me. Yeah, I competed in a lot of the gala competitions. Since the age of 8 years old, I was involved with pan. I was playing pan home in Trinidad when I was growing up, much to the disgust of my father, but I learned to play pan in Trinidad and came to England. Well, I didn't carry on playing pan, actually, because when I joined Ebony as a mass man. But when I became the manager of the band, I couldn't play mass and run the band, so I gave up mass. I always say Carnival is mass and pan. Mass has been an element, but pan was there long before mass. And I think in today's day and age, steel pan and mass, the sound systems have taken over where the mass is concerned. So the steel bands, like myself, are now trying to grow our own mass bands, because a lot of the bigger mass bands now just want sound systems. So it doesn't really go together as it started out originally. It's very difficult unless you, I mean, even I have with my mass band, I still have the pan on the road, but I have a music truck. So, because we want the young people to stay with the band. So it's very difficult. It's gone way beyond that situation. Steel band will come out on the road as steel bands, but when it comes to mass, you will have, the young people will always go for a music truck. We get a lot of our young people to play mass in the band. The young people don't want to play a traditional sailor mass every year. Even Soca Massive now is changing up his sailor and bringing it out in more costumes and more glamorous costumes. So with us, to get the people involved, and it's mainly, ours is kind of a family band, to get the young people involved and to stay with the band come Carnival time, we have to change the costumes or design a different type of costume every year. It doesn't exist really anymore. Pan is pan and mass is mass now. It's, yeah, even in Trinidad, it's the same thing. Steel bands will struggle to bring a mass band.
My name is Dexter Khan, and I'm the band leader of Coquet Carnival Club. Coquet started in Swiss Cottage as a family day on a bank holiday Monday of playing. In those days, a bit of calypso more than soca, because soca was just coming on the scene. And then I got involved with an artist, a designer called Peter Minchell from the UK. Now, I never heard of Peter Minchell, but we went and we played mass and we made our costumes. Today, Peter is one of the greatest celebrities and designers in carnival costume in the world. He has done 2 Olympics. He has done every single thing that you could think of. His awards are incredible. I still have and will respect Peter because with Peter is the one who inspired me to bring mass in London. Before that, I was involved with a steel band called Starland, which used to play sailor mass. That's my Trinidad side. My London side is when I met Peter Minchell, that it inspired me because his creation and his ideas were so incredible. And after Peter left, for the first time to go to Trinidad to bring a band, people were asking me to bring a costume. I knew nothing about costumes, to say as a designer how to put together. But anyhow, we decided we'll do something. Through Peter, I met a girl called Nikki Lyons, who is a theatrical designer. She was English. And Nikki has brought a lot. She was our designer for 5 years, Coquet, London for 5 years, and has created a lot of excitement in Carnival. There was Aston Charles, Noel Lawrence, Vernon Fellows, right, and Larry Ford with Supnia.
When you hear the music, just the music alone, it just, you get alive and you really feel buzzing with the music, that it's naturally, you just get on there and you enjoy yourself basically.
I am not boasting. I never blow my own trumpet, but we have created a lot of bands out of Coquet in the past. For instance, take Chocolate Mass, which is Dirty Mass. Started with 4 guys in Coquet. Michael Forbes with Soca Nation, Borokeets, Poison UK, Arawaks, Smokey Joe Roadshow, Abir, which started Dirty Mass here, was started with Coquet. and then they went on. That was started with one guy who was a DJ for us, called Shane the Mix, right? Today is a big band, but they left us big. Designers, we have young designers. We have people like Tiffany, Troubles with his section. We have the winery, and we have Janelle, who is a designer with Supreme, which is part of Coquille. Clarice Salandi from Mahogany started in Coquille, and that is another young designer who I have a lot of respect. And there's another young designer that I have a lot of respect for and designed for us for 4 years. Is Paul Donohue, right, with You Come. I have a lot of respect for that young man. And I think from even the headpieces we are showing in the back, that's done by Paul Donohue. And I have a lot of respect. And I want to see young designers come into Carnival so we could make sure they have a foundation to go out in the bigger world. We have lost a lot of the pioneers who created art form. Bertie Delantro, Wirebender, right? Larry Ford, right? And Lincoln, right? These people has created something here that we don't ever see again, right? There's no more mask, is there? No, it's beads, bikini, and feathers. But that's why I want the youngsters now to learn the creation of art, and that is where the Mass Association comes in, to filter what we know as older folks to the younger members.
Hi, my name's Lyndon Lacrete. I've been involved participating in the London Nottingham Carnival for over 30 years. I've been mass band leader for Visions Mass Band for over 20 years. I've also been member of various mass band associations. Firstly, LICMA, when I first participated in Carnival, then it was Glimmer, and then Glimmer merged with NHNBA to become what is known today as CAMF. So I've been a member of CAMF since it first started. This is Victor Critchler. Victor is one of the pioneers, highly respected within the Carnival community. His legacy, unquestionable. The things that Victor did for Carnival, for Mars, and particularly for my organisation, Victor helped establish us as a professional entity, and he was the original chair of Caribbean Music Association. If it wasn't for Victor, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I'd like to put a tribute to Victor Critchler and condolences to his family and friends and those that knew him. Secondly, picture to my left, this gentleman here, his name's Lloyd Biddo. Lloyd was one of my management team. Lloyd was someone that was highly respected in the team, highly respected by my members, not just from a CMA perspective, but also from Mars. There's many people from Mars bands that also knew Lloyd, and sad loss that Lloyd was. And I know Lloyd did a lot of things for the youth also, particularly from Mars. So I personally wanted to say a tribute to Lloyd, sad loss, and someone that we'll never forget.
My name is Greta Teresa Mendez. And you know, that tells you about me. Mendez is from my Spanish background. Teresa is from my Roman Catholic background. And Greta is from my father. Anyway, I started life as a dancer many, many years ago, multitude of years ago. But now I predominantly am making film, and also I'm a tutor. So I teach a lot of drama people, a lot of famous people actually. I never wore masks in Caribbean, but I made masks as a child between the maybe 5, 6. The man on top of the hill was a masquerader, and I went up to help this man make his mask. And you know, you're a little child, you're all excited and stuff like that. Then come Carnival Day, he puts on this thing, and this man transformed before my eyes. He became somebody I did not know. And I was so scared. I remember running out of his house and running, and he's running after me. Now I know he's trying to calm me. But at that point, this thing that I no longer knew was running behind me, and I jumped off a big place and went into this derelict house. And I can remember my heart beating. So for me, that speaks about the power, the transformative power of Mass, because it releases that other dimension that is invisible 364 days a year. But on the 365th, something about our inner being manifests. When you do a Mass, it is transformative, something else happens. My earliest memory of creating Mass is with Peter Minshall. I started Mass with Peter Minshall, I think it's 1972, don't lock me down on the day. There was something at the Commonwealth Institute, which is now defunct, which they called Mass in May, and nobody else has ever used, because remember the Commonwealth Institute was a series of circles, right? And the circles and these fabulous steps going, and there are more circles, and then they had this central plinth. And Peter Minshall designed this thing called Mass in May. It had people like Nina Baden-Semper, it had Nadia Katous, they singing the orchestration, and I was this amazing bird in it. And in those days, it was my first time of actually, since my childhood, making Mass. I was training at London Contemporary School of Dance. I was rehearsing with Mitchell in the day, and then I used to go and help make Mass in the evening. And I suddenly found myself going, weird. And it was my first experience of getting high, because we used to use Q-tex, this is to tell you how far Mass has gone, to lay down the feathers. It was Q-tex before you got glue, because if you put glue, it will look messy. And then from that Mass in May, Minshall took those costumes onto the streets of Notting Hill Gate. And of course, built up sections, and I brought all my friends, my dancer friends and all of that. And it was that year as well that Minshall wanted to play Mass on the road, because he did play Mass on the road. And we went to a derelict house in Acklam Road. It was derelict in those days. And we went there for about 2 days and 2 nights to make a costume for Minshall to come onto the road. I wouldn't even call it theatrical. I will call it finding that essence of yourself, yeah? Because all good Mass, it's about what is inside of me. What do I feel I need to express in this moment, in this time? Yeah, and I think if we get back to that, you will see a renaissance of Mass. It's not about huge bands. It is about, you could bring out a COVID band, but everybody would have had a different experience of COVID. And therefore, if they could manifest and make a Mass that expresses all of that internal stuff that has been happening to them, that is what it is about. Is, for 2 days or 1 day, I can say to the world, I showed another side of me. Also, I can speak in carnival design, in Mass design, in a way, because it's very political, it's very subversive, yeah? And so therefore, I have my rage, I have my fortune. I can't speak to the government, but for that day, I can be on the road saying something about what I feel about the side, but also I could be feeling joyous. Yeah, so I can be in a place of joy as well. It doesn't always have to be a subversive. And I think there would be an incredible renaissance if people are allowed and encouraged to express themselves. And that is what Mass is opposed to Carnival. That is what the enslaved people, when they got their liberation, that's what they brought to it. It's about expressing self.
Yeah, me now. Vibes Mass. Yeah, man, you're a touch of class. Yeah, man. You come first, you could have never come last. Vibes Mass, ready for the road, easy. Lloyd B. Kayak Sound's #1 sound system. Let's go! Huh! Vibes Mass. Ha, Lloyd B. Make way for the Vibes Mass. Make way for the Vibes Mass. Hey, hey, Kayak Sounds. Hey, tell them we feeling good. Like a new machine, like morning dew. Fresh and the scene, how we go party to the full extreme. Unlike it too, with your salad. When you see Vibes Mass, come down. We drum it still, and they're rolling with Kayak Soul.